minimum to cash out. You can play as much as you want, from puzzles to cash.
Very few record labels can match the success of the Inc. It was home to legends Ja Rule and Ashanti. Their head honcho Irv Gotti introduced legends Jay-Z, DMX, and Ja Rule to the mainstream, helping to take Def Jam Records to heights it had never been before. They would create many great songs, but beef, legal issues, and conspiracy would bring their reign to an end. Join me as we take a look into the history of Irv Gotti and the Inc. In the world of hip-hop, Queens is a borough of royalty with legends Run DMC, LL Cool J, Cool G Rap, A Tribe Called Quest, Nas, and many more Hall of Fame rappers and DJs calling it home. During the 80s, when hip-hop was on the rise, Queens was producing classic music, but was also being ravaged by the epidemic of the 80s and 90s. The situation made way for legendary crews like the Supreme Team and the Furtado Brothers. Kids in Queens would see them in the flashy cars, the big jewelry, and having a beautiful woman, something that many kids idolized. Irv Gotti and his older brother Chris were two of those kids. There was also a rift in the area between Hollis and Southside Jamaica, Queens, which was just a few blocks away, which led to many fights. According to Chris Gotti, going to school was a task for the kids of Hollis because their school bus took them through Southside, which led to them having to fight every day they went to school. Living in Hollis, on Hollis Ave, had its benefits as they lived a few blocks away from all of the members of Run DMC, and they would see their rise and success firsthand. Jam Master Jay was a mainstay in Queens and heavily influenced Irv as Run DMC was his favorite group. Like Jay, Irv would take up DJing, first starting at the age of 11. He would use his friend Nick's father's equipment to learn on when he would visit his house. Seeing his skill, Chris would purchase Irv's first set of turntables for him, and he took off from there. He learned all of the tricks of the trade and quickly became one of the top DJs in the area. He gained the respect of the older DJs, and they would allow him to take over Jamaica Park, and he would be the DJ for the park jams during the mid to late 80s. With supreme skill and confidence, Chris would take Irv around the city to battle DJs, and they would earn money by Irv winning battles and DJ contests. Irv would also get into beat making and making mixtapes for the local rappers. His name was spreading like wildfire from his mixtapes and DJing. Things would continue to pick up for Irv when he became the DJ for Jazz. He would meet Jazz's hype man Jay-Z while they worked on Jazz's debut album in London. Jay-Z and Irv would spark up a friendship during this trip. Irv would also join Jazz on tour, and during the tour he would room with producer Chad Elliott. Chad would introduce him to his friends Y&D, who just created their new record label Rough Riders. They would introduce him to a rapper that they were working with named DMX. They went over to Yonkers and heard DMX spit. He impressed Irv, and he gave X a beat that he and Chad worked on together that DMX used for a song called Born Loser that would be one of his first demo songs.
My clothes are so funky, they bad for my health. Sometimes at night my pants go to the bathroom by themselves. Even when I was little, nothing went.
Irv also gained a friendship with Run DMC and were friends with one of Jam Master Jay's artists named Black Child. He gained popularity going back and forth to Brooklyn and other boroughs, building his name. He used to run into Jam Master Jay on a regular at their favorite buzz spot, and Jay would always press him to come to the studio to make music. Black Child finally accepted Jay's offer and went to the studio, and Jay signed Black Child to his label JMJ Records in 1993. Due to the success of Onyx, Black Child was put on the back burner, and his time on JMJ Records was uneventful, ending when he caught a gun charge in 1995.
Make this 13-hour brisket your right now brisket.
Irv began to get more producing credits and sought out his own crew of artists. One day at a talent show, he and Chris would meet the rapper known as Mike Geronimo. They convinced him to work with them, recording his first demos. They released a song called Shit's Real that was an underground hit, making the Billboard rap singles, peaking at number 23.
It's all about lounging and keep together. No matter the weather, you find me out doing whatever. And when
which caught the ears of TVT Records, who was signed Mike Geronimo in 1994. Once signed, Irv was hired as A&R at TVT Records. Things with Mike Geronimo and TVT didn't progress like Irv wanted, and he went looking for more acts. One day he was telling his friend Jody about how things were going with Mike Geronimo and his situation at TVT. Jody told him about a group he had and took Irv and Chris to meet Ja Rule. When they heard Ja spit, they immediately fell in love with him. They were soon introduced to 01 and Chris Black, immediately going to work on their demo. They released their first single, Get the Fortune, in 1994 and got signed to TVT Records shortly after. In 1995, Shit's Real would be released as Mike Geronimo's debut single, It's Real.
since my first birthday, I've been in with more tricks than a tramp, locked in a sleepaway camp. And then he heard with a loop.
He would follow it up with Master IC.
I kid no man is similar to mental migraine. The Master IC enters now in your game.
That included the song Time to Build, featuring Ja Rule, Jay-Z, and DMX as the B-side of the single.
Voice, I got poison lines, so flame on, I turn my game on the expert. Niggas get chills when you hear my name on the network.
Mike Geronimo's album, The Natural, would drop in November of 1995. It had decent success, peaking at number 155 on the Billboard 200. TVT would also release Cash Money Click's For My Click as their debut single with the label and include Get the Fortune on the B-side.
Maintain but never strain, flow with the flow, cause in this trade, you're full of tricks and surprises, downfalls and
The single did well, but things would come to a halt for Cash Money Click when Chris Black was arrested on a gun charge and sentenced to 5 years in prison. TVT would drop Cash Money Click and shelve their album. Irv began getting close to Ja Rule as the two had become great friends and began working on music together. Irv would take Ja around the city battling MCs, and one day he took him to Yonkers to battle DMX. The two went to war bar for bar, with no clear winner being declared, leaving with mutual respect for the other's pen. They would spark up a friendship, and the three of them visited nightclubs, video sets, and anywhere else they could get a battle with the best like Onyx and Redman. Ja Rule would get his first big break as a solo artist in 1996. We had his birthday party at a club the same night Jay-Z and Foxy Brown were performing. Foxy went over to his section and they had a conversation. He would tell her he was an artist and they would exchange numbers, keeping in touch. One day Foxy called Ja and told him Leor Cohen wanted to meet with him. Not believing her, he told Irv about it. Irv reached out to Jay-Z to ask if he heard anything about Leor wanting to sign Ja. Jay confirmed the rumor, saying he heard talk around the Def Jam studios. It looked like Irv's plan worked. He would call up the box in order to Get the Fortune every time Method Man and Mary J. Blige's song You're All I Need came on. The box was a television music channel that was request only.
The Box, music television you control.
The song caught the ear of Jam Master Jay, who saw Ja Rule and told Leor Cohen he was going to be a star. Leor would get in contact with Irv and have the Cash Money Click come in. He stated that he only wanted Ja Rule and made him an offer. He also liked Irv and his business mind, so he offered him a job as an A&R. Irv showed immediate value, helping to play an essential role in completing the deal to bring Jay-Z to Def Jam. His next goal was to sign DMX. When he made his pitch for DMX at Def Jam, almost everyone was against it, and some even laughed, saying he was barking and saying he's a dog. Having supreme confidence in DMX, Irv demanded that DMX be signed or he would quit. The unemployment period lasted for about 2 weeks when Leor Cohen called Irv and got him to come back, letting everyone in the building know that from now on, Irv only answers to him and Kevin Liles, and he has the freedom to sign DMX and anyone else he chooses. After signing DMX, Work began on promotion of Jay-Z's debut album, Reasonable Doubt. Rockefeller was going to go with Dead Presidents as Jay-Z's debut single.
Rappers going broke, trying to keep up with me. My rise the riches, surprise the bitches, think harder. You know this.
But Irv wanted to go with Ain't No. In an effort to convince Jay and Rockefeller, Irv took Ain't No to Big Cap and had him break it in the tunnel. It was a hit in the tunnel and blew up immediately, forcing them to go with Irv's suggestion and make Ain't No the debut single.
Keep you right, tight up in Versace. That's why you gotta watch your friends, you got to watch me. They conniving. The first chance to crack, but
Irv would be offered his own label by multiple companies, but decided to stay with Def Jam. Next, Irv and Def Jam focused on DMX. The Def Jam officers had zero confidence in DMX, with Irv being the only supporter, saying X was going to sell over 5 million records. To show his confidence in X and try to get the other executives on board, Irv would go around the Def Jam studios putting up triangles with DMX's name on the top of it and a 5 in the middle, signifying the selling of 5 million records. For promotion, Irv didn't like the way Diddy handled the Lox with the shiny suits, which was the total opposite of their personalities and their music. He made sure to not go in that direction with DMX, keeping everything as gritty as possible. Irv convinced the Rough Riders to go with Get At Me Dog as X's first single.
Hey, sweaty. Sweetie, you good?
Someone stole my Old Spice antiperspirant.
Get At Me Dog was originally a freestyle by DMX and the Lox on DJ Clue's mixtape Cluminati, The Clue World Order.
Got that Alcatraz flow, you just don't know. Lifetime big caged in, blazing. Any type of rapper.
Hype Williams shot the video in the tunnel and made it in black and white to keep it grimy.
When it's on, we transform like Optimus Prime. Out from the head, roll out, let's make it happen. If we ain't gonna get it.
The move worked, and Get At Me Dog was highly requested on the box, demonstrating a great public response. DMX would also make it to the big screen, being cast in his first movie by Hype Williams in the cult classic Belly alongside Nas. The soundtrack for the movie would be produced by Def Jam, and Ja Rule, Jay-Z, and DMX would all feature on it, along with many of the greats of the time. The soundtrack would also feature a new artist named Hot Toddy. She played the role of Kiana, DMX's mistress in Belly. Hype introduced her to Irv during the filming of the movie, asking him to sign her as a favor. Irv agreed to the signing, and she weighed her options, as she also had a deal on the table with Universal Records. She decided to go with Irv as she felt more comfortable going with someone she knew. Sometime around then, she would change her name to Vita, becoming the First Lady of Murder Inc. Vita wasn't new to the entertainment industry or fame, as she's the younger sister of Kima from the group Total that was huge in the 90s on Bad Boy Records. She was acting in commercials and music videos since she was a teen, also dabbling in music. She went to college at Morgan State but dropped out and would focus on her future in entertainment. Her big break would begin when her agent sent her to do a commercial for Sears. While filming, she met Hype Williams and gave him a CD of one of her songs, and he liked it. Hype would put her in a number of his music videos, and she would ultimately land the role for Belly. With Get At Me Dog blowing up, DMX would also have major features on the Lox's Money, Power, Respect.
Mom's at home praying, you're coming home, but you not. You're sitting up in the trunk, starting to rap, and the hell is hot because
and Mace's 24 Hours to Live, among others, and was the most highly anticipated artist of the time.
for left until my death. So I'm gonna waste a lot of lives, but I'll cherish every breath. I know exactly where I'm going, but I'ma send you there first.
On May 19th, 1998, DMX's highly anticipated debut album, It's Dark and Hell Is Hot, was released and was an immediate success, selling over 4 million records. He would then do as Tupac and Ice Cube did and release 2 platinum albums in the same year, when he released Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, which would go triple platinum. Although he technically wasn't the first rapper to release 2 platinum albums in a year, in ways he is. When Ice Cube did it, it was with a full album and an EP. And for Tupac, it was done with the posthumous album that was supposed to be a mixtape. So if he lived, we don't know if he would have done it. Either way, it's still a feat that is rare in any genre. Irv would get Ja features on various albums before he got his big break on Jay-Z's hit, Can I Get Her?
It ain't even a question how my dough flows. You good if you got those ladies riding your bump like a top.
Ja shined on the feature and became one of the hottest new artists overnight. Around this time, Black Child would be released from prison and immediately go to the Murder Inc. offices looking for Irv to see if he could get a record deal. When he got to the offices, Irv approached him and asked if he still spit, and he replied yes, and Irv offered him a deal with Murder Inc. on the spot. Meanwhile, Chris Gotti had two different friends coming to him about a local rapper that they knew by the name of Cadillac Ty. When they met, Ty freestyled for Chris, blowing him away. He told Ty to come down to the studio. When he came, he spit for Chris and Irv liked it and brought Ty onto the team. Ty was also from Queens and started out as a DJ. He began rapping when he wrote a rap and it sounded better than the guy that he was DJing for. Ironically, Black Child was locked up with Ty's cousin, and he told Black Child to look for and work with Ty when he got out, and they would finally meet in the studios of Murder Inc. Irv built himself up to being one of the top producers and A&Rs in the game, dominating 1998 with DMX and Jay-Z rising to the top and becoming superstars. In 1999, it was time to take care of home, as Murder Inc. officially opened their doors for business as a label with the release of Ja Rule's debut album, Veni Vidi Vici, Latin for I Came, I Saw, I Conquered. Holla Holla was his debut single that had success peaking at number 35 on the Billboard 100.
Holla, holla, all my niggas that's ready to get dollars. Just know who could get them a little hotter.
The remix for Holla Holla would feature Jay-Z, Memphis Bleek, Busta Rhymes, and introduce Vita, Black Child, and Cadillac Ty to the mainstream.
But I got some killers that are very unusual.
Holla Holla would get Ja in his first beef when DMX thought he was biting him. He would diss Ja on the song We Don't Give a F, produced by Irv on his Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood album.
I let you get too close and you bit me. I closed one eye for too long, tried to hit me. Thought you was with me. Well, you might.
Irv let Ja hear the song and told him he won't let X put it on the album, but Ja said no, it was cool. Go ahead, let it go on the album. He would distinguish himself and end the talk about biting DMX by changing his appearance and making less hard songs and gearing more towards women, which would reflect on his future albums. Knowing that Irv was looking for talent, his friend Mario Biasso brought a singer he was working with from Glen Cove, Long Island, named Ashanti, to Irv to see if he can help her advance her career. Irv had never worked with an R&B artist before and didn't know what to do with her. She had music already, but Irv didn't want to use any of it, having her write all new music, and told her to hang around the studio, which she did and became friends with all of the guys at Murder Inc. Ashanti was in a new world, being at Murder Inc. as she came from a much more stable life. Her mother was a dancer and her father was a singer. She would take up dancing at an early age, attending the Bernice Johnson Cultural Arts Center that was owned by Bernice Johnson, the grandmother of Prodigy from Mobb Deep. She would get into singing around age 12 with her family fully backing her, taking her to auditions and helping her to get her first demo tapes made. Her work paid off in 1994 when she was signed to Jive Records at the age of 14. Jive wanted to make her a pop star, but she wanted to stick to her R&B roots. She battled with the label over this for about 2 years, and she sat on the shelf at Jive before finally being released. After her release from Jive, Ashanti would focus on school and athletics, excelling in track and field, most notably the long jump. At the time of her graduation, she had numerous scholarship offers and also had received an offer from Noontime Records in Atlanta that was a subsidiary of Epic Records. Ashanti weighed her options and decided to go with the contract and moved to Atlanta. Once in Atlanta, she got to work on her debut album, but things would be brought to a halt when Epic went through a change of management. The new label heads didn't see Ashanti as a priority and her album was shelved and she was left in a standstill. Her time in Atlanta would come to an end when Ashanti was involved in a near-fatal car accident. She would move back home to her parents' house promptly, and her mother was able to talk to the label and get her released from her contract. Once home, Ashanti would go through a down period before refocusing on her music. She began performing in clubs and venues around New York, where Mario began working with her before bringing her to Irv. Another beef for Ja Rule would start with 50 Cent, a rapper from Southside Jamaica, Queens that he was cool with at the time. A friend of Ja and 50's at the time named Troy had robbed Ja. According to Ja, Troy was upset that he slept with a woman that he was in a relationship with. Ja didn't know that that was his girl, but Troy wasn't hearing none of that, so he robbed Ja. He didn't know that Troy and 50 were friends until one night they were at a club when 50 came in with Troy. There was tension, but nothing happened that night, and 50 would later show up at the video shoot for Ja Rule's song Murder for Life, but got the feeling that he wasn't welcome and left. Rumors started floating around that 50 made a diss song about Ja Rule. According to Black Child, he saw 50 and let him know that he was rolling with Ja Rule now and asked if there was any type of beef. 50 replied that there was no beef or diss song. A few weeks later, he hears the song Life on the Line.
Small play in this game, play your part, son. Murder, I don't believe you, murder.
And at that point, he decided that he couldn't respect or trust 50 anymore. Veni Vidi Vici would be a success, going platinum, getting Ja Rule off to a great start and placing the artist on the label in position to start out strong also. Irv would create a group, Murder Inc., that included Jay-Z, Ja Rule, and DMX. They featured on each other's albums and made numerous songs together, but Jay-Z turned down the idea most likely due to competition and a slight beef with DMX. Ja Rule's beef with 50 Cent would go a step further later in 1999 when they were both booked for a show in Atlanta. They met in a hotel lobby. 50 tried to have a discussion with Ja Rule when he didn't like the way Ja started to get louder while talking to him and punched Ja and started a brawl. 50 would take Ja's chain during the scuffle, and it's rumored that Supreme gave 50 Cent a watch to return the chain. A few months later in March, 50 and Ja would meet again in another brawl when 50 was recording at the famed Hit Factory studio. Ja and his crew showed up, a fight broke out, then somebody turned out the lights and Black Child would stop 50 and a few other people. They would use paperwork from the incident to taunt 50 for snitching. Black Child was charged for the stabbing, but his charges were later dropped because nobody involved in the incident showed up to court. Meanwhile, Charlie Baltimore was having issues with Lansom Rivera and Entertainment as their relationship had turned sour.